4 of season 4 of The Boys, and holy shit, that ending was pretty insane. This is going to be a spoiler reaction because, well, fuck, we're reacting to what we just saw.
Yep.
Homelander essentially killed every fucking person in that facility, aside from that lead doctor. He left her in there with everyone just massacred around her. Holy shit, that was
Yeah, like
intense.
everyone that was involved with him as a kid, right? As
Yeah.
far as
Even the
testing
new
out his
people as
powers,
well.
and yeah.
Yeah.
So I hope they enjoyed that Fudgy the Whale cake.
Yeah, that was their
That's
last bit of
that was their
sweetness
last
before they
that
died.
was their last meal right there.
Jesus
Sure.
Christ. And then we saw Starlight completely lose her shit on Firecracker after she exposed the fact that she had an abortion. And
And
she
it was
fucking,
Huey's child. We found that out too.
yes. Yeah. I'm trying to remember, was that in a previous season that she got pregnant?
No, that had to have happened between seasons 3 and 4, because at the end of season 3 that was never mentioned.
Because I thought it was something that happened to her when she was like way younger, but then it sounded like it was Huey's. So I was
Well, yeah, it sounded like he was Huey. So yeah, that's never been mentioned in a previous season.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't know where that came from. I thought it was like when she was younger, you know what I mean? Like, and she was just, but either way, she lost her shit and she beat the living shit out of Firecracker. And then the fucking, what was kind of weird about the episode was the pastor ended up having like Mr. Fantastic abilities where he can stretch. That was weird. I was like, what the fuck? It was hella random.
Yeah, I don't, because I was trying to think back to when we last saw him. I don't remember him having. I don't remember that. Well, no, he did, because he was in the club, and he had that power. We saw that when they were in the club.
Yeah, that's right.
When he was exposed. So no, we have seen him use that before, but he hasn't been around.
A while.
It's been a while, so we haven't seen him since then.
And not only that,
Butcher though. I mean, that was the. Come on, I mean,
what
we
was
saw
it?
him. So I'm thinking, because we saw the parasite starting to move around when he was about to die. So I'm thinking the parasite knew, hey, the host is about to die. I need to do something. We hear this sound that obviously we found out that the pastor's now dead. Butcher can't remember anything. So I'm thinking we're going to see, this is just the first bit we're seeing of this, right? And we're going to see more of it before the season's over. So that makes me now believe Butcher may not die in this season.
No, I don't think he will.
If this thing starts to mutate more, and its life is getting threatened, or Butcher's life is, it's going to step in and kind of, do something.
Yeah, no, I totally think so. And yes, Crypto Chris, that scene with the Deep and
Sage
is just like, when she's like, okay, now just stick it in my eye. I was just like, oh my God. And he gave her a lobotomy, which basically slows her brain down enough to where she feels normal because her brain can regenerate. So she has a superhuman brain, but nothing else. So
yeah, nothing else.
That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I wish we could have had you up on full screen. We could have clipped your reaction.
Oh God, that was too much. I was like, oh my God, dude. And then he ended up having sex with her.
Yeah, she was all for that. She was absolutely giving it up even before he did it. Like, hey, if you do this, you can get this. And he was like, okay, where's the hammer? let's get this done.
Yeah, he's like, all right, fine, yeah, let's go.
Between that and the fried pickles, yeah, he was set.
He's such a piece of shit.
He is.
He just did it like, yeah, let's go, fuck it, let's rock. So definitely a really cool episode. I really enjoyed again this episode as well. Homelander goes back to the facility in which they experimented on him as a child. And of course, a lot of the same scientists are still there.
Yep.
And he completely fucking tortures them and fucking kills them horribly, horrible deaths.
This is what we talked about, though, right? This is the Homelander we talked about in the pre-show, that where he's starting to have cracks in the foundation that we were seeing in the first 3 episodes. And now I think this is just like full blown, like, villain Homelander that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to get worse too. I think the next 4 episodes that we have left,
absolutely. Absolutely. He's just going to get worse all the way until the end of next season. And Ryan wasn't even in the episode, which I thought was kind of interesting. So we don't know where he's at or what he's been up to, but he wasn't in the episode. Huey tried to get the freaking compound V to save his father. Now, it did kind of look like his mother,
Yeah.
because it went through her eyes and she saw the compound being going through the tubes, which means that maybe she had done that while he was gone.
Yeah.
It's either that or she has some kind of ability that we're unaware of, because if I don't know, whenever he has a moment where he has to like kill somebody or it gets really intense, everything slows down for Huey. And I
Yep.
keep wondering if that's the initial power that or ability that he had that he hasn't figured out how to use yet, whatever that is. But
Yeah, and it's funny because I mean, we briefly talked about this when we thought this was going to drop at midnight, right? We thought we mentioned the mom coming back, the stroke from season one. We were wondering if this was even going to come back around at all, and this episode just happened to be a big part of Huey's story, right?
but did
I
she
mean,
get the
I
compound
think that
V
was
from him?
I think so. I think I mean he had it. I'm thinking she might have saw it or was wondering, and then she walked up to behind him to hug him, and then obviously he pulled away. I'm wondering if she saw it, lifted it from him, and when he left, she was, she had put it in the IV, and by the time Huey came back in, then that's when he saw starting to run through the full IV and was like, what is going on? 'Cause
Yeah.
her
So she
reaction was like, "Yep, come on, hurry up, get into his system," right?
Yeah,
So,
and it's crazy because if she did like steal that from him, that means that she knew exactly what it was when she saw it.
yep,
I mean, obviously
absolutely.
they gave it to him as a or no. But how would she know what it is?
Well, that's just the thing though. She would have to know what it is,
Yeah.
right? To know that if I put this in his IV, it's going to save him. So then that makes me then believe, what has she been up to this whole time that she's been
Yeah.
absent of Huey's life since he was 6, right? What has she been up to if she knows what Compound V is? Does she have a bigger now involvement? And now that's why they brought her back into the fold for the story.
Or what if she had her own vial of
Could
compound
have.
V? And so
Could
then
have, yeah.
like that'd be crazy enough if the next episode you see him reaching his pocket and he still
And he's
has it, and
got
you'd be
it.
like, what
Yeah.
the fuck? But it was weird the way that they showed it. Like the compound V kind of just like faded, like it just appeared in the tube and went into his system. Now that could have been a flashback of her remembering, that she did that, or does she have the ability to sort of manifest that, to go into his bloodstream? I don't know. That was crazy. The way they portrayed that, they kind of left it open ended. So I want to see how that's going to play out come the next episode. But holy shit, that was nuts.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely set up to. I mean, again, this now is set up to where she's not. She is not just. Well, now the dad now too, because the dad has the compound V in him, and we saw him
Yeah.
wake up, right? So we now know that they're not going to just be kind of a side characters, a side story where it's just really what happens with Huey and his moral compass when it comes to this. Now it seems like they're going to be fully entrenched into the rest of the season for Huey's story and how he then reacts going forward.
Yeah.
Right, because
I
now
think so.
I mean, if with the compound being his dad now, who knows how that's gonna impact him? Because Huey already knows how it impacted him, and we've seen how it impacted Butcher and is impacting Butcher. It's killing him, and he's going to die from it. But now, even though it temporarily has saved his dad, Huey knows what the ultimate consequences of his dad now having that in his system will be.
A-Tray finding the canisters of milk. Oh,
Yeah.
he's such a fucking weirdo. You know what I mean? It was just like, oh
Well,
god.
that and then the compound V, right? I mean, there were several vials missing from that drawer. So
There
now
were
they should run.
several.
Where is Homelander, juicing up on this? And maybe that's what's kind of making him,
Yeah,
hallucinate,
because there
rage a
was a
little bit
lot
more.
that was missing, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, it's one thing if it was one or two, then okay, maybe that's all he had." But they were missing from random spots in that drawer, so it's like something's going on that we don't know about, and that in itself is just fucking weird.
Yeah.
Again, I love the episode. I thought it was really, really good. We got to see obviously Frenchie. He came clean to the other guy, letting him know that he was the one who killed his family.
Yep.
And we knew that was going to happen. That was sad, but he had to tell him. I mean, he had to get off his chest. He couldn't keep that as a secret any longer. But no, I mean, like, where is Homelander going next? He's leaving there, probably going back to Vought Tower, because look, he left there. It's sort of like he went back there because he needed to sort of relive his past and get kind of payback for the way he was treated as a child. But I think he's also realizing too that like, he can't raise Ryan that way because he saw how he turned out. But I
I
don't
don't
think he's
know.
capable of actually raising him like a real father. I mean, no, there's no possible fucking way that he can do that.
Well,
Um,
there's a couple of things that play out there, right? I mean, so if we take a step back and look at how season 3 ended, how Soldier Boy, reacted to Homelander, right? He called him like a sniffling little pussy, right?
yeah,
Saying, "I wasn't here to raise you," and pretty much just dismissed him altogether.
yeah, he
So
called him
that
a little
obviously had an
bitch.
impact on Homelander right there
Hmm.
at the end of season 3. Going into season 4, we saw, I think, the impacts of that going into this. Now you have he's getting older. We're seeing that, just he's collecting his gray hairs, right? We're gonna make an assumption that he's now taking compound V just based on what we saw missing from that drawer, right?
Hmm.
And he's starting to lose it again. He's hallucinating. He's not acting like the Homelander we've seen previously, and now he's becoming very vengeful. I mean, we could say what he did here was closure. He could have gotten closure without murdering everybody,
Yeah, he
but
could
I
have.
mean, this is obviously going to come back to haunt even him. I mean, I think maybe this might be the chink in his armor, so to speak, for him, just like what we just saw with Starlight, right? Beating up Firecracker. So I mean, it's going to come out. Now it's going to be a matter of does the public start turning against both of them? Because it's already happened to Starlight. So obviously these
Yeah.
murders are gonna come out because you don't just murder an entire science crew, right? And then leave their bodies with one witness. I mean, she's gonna talk.
I mean, she will, but at the same time, it's like Vought is the reason why he is who he is.
I
So
agree.
they
Yeah.
may not even say anything. I don't know if that's even going to come into play anymore. But at the same time, we learn more about his past. We learned that,
Yep.
like,
Yep.
she even said you had this undesirable, this uncontrollable need to please everybody, and
Yeah.
they
And
use
they
that
and they
against
taught
you.
him that, right? Because she even
Yeah.
said we brought in all these psychiatrists to really program you to feel that way, which I think probably just angered him even more because now he knew that was never something that he organically had. So,
And again, he has this weird reaction to women that are in some kind of power role with him.
yep.
It always plays no effect. And now we've seen that there was one when he was a child, that she was the one who was that figure as when he was younger.
Yeah.
And then obviously there's been several of them as we go along. And so I think that, um, when you look at Sister Sage, I think he's going to run into that same kind of thing with her where he's going to be like, I don't need you to
Yep.
tell me what to do. I don't need to, please you as well. And the fact that we know that Sage does the lobotomy to sort of like dumb her down so she doesn't have to like think as hard. It could be a case where Homelander is going to come back while they're still having sex, or and he's going to be like, "Hey, I need your help," and she's going to be like, "Huh, what?" And
Yeah.
he's going to be like, "What the fuck? What's wrong
Like,
with you?"
what's wrong with you?
Yeah, because she wasn't counting on him showing up or dealing with him. So that's gonna see. It's interesting how that's gonna play out as well. But I just think that when it comes to Homelander, man, this guy is out of his fucking mind, and there's nobody to calm him down. There's no one to talk sense into him whatsoever. The only one that can like talk sense into him would be Ryan,
Would be
but
Ryan.
Ryan's got too much going on, on his plate, and I don't even think he's really mastered his abilities yet. So it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds as we move forward. And I like that we got the cameo. They showed the characters from Gen V.
Yep.
Even though one of those guys is actually dead in real life. So
Yeah, he passed away. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
motorcycle accident. I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't think based on what we saw, I don't think obviously I think the Ryan Homelander thing will definitely extend into season 5, and that's where the Homelander story will probably end along with Butcher's story, just based on what Butcher experienced here with that parasite running through his body and saving him from dying.
Mhm.
So that will, I think for me, that answers the question. Butcher will definitely be around for season 5.
Yeah,
Whether
I think so.
he makes it through the whole season, that's another question, but he'll definitely make it to that point.
Well, the parasite obviously it knew that he was about to die and went into
Exactly.
action.
Yeah.
Now, how it killed him, I don't know. I just know that he fucking exploded, and so, but we don't know what it did. I think we're definitely going to see that later on in this season. I would imagine that it's. I mean, he's going to have to take on somebody else to where that's going to happen, and you're going to see the full impact of like what that parasite does.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, and but also too, like how do we know this parasite isn't something that can move from one person to another? I mean, maybe it's going to reach a point where it's going to actually like try and leave Butcher's body and try to infect somebody else, if that's even the case, if it's even that kind of
Yep.
organism.
Or
Um,
unless it's what they used to take down Newman, right? I mean,
yeah,
because I mean, we know she's pretty much indestructible. I mean, that so this parasite could be the one thing that does take her out. I mean, we don't know. I mean, we're
it could be
speculating
the
here, but
one.
it could very well be that case,
Mhm.
right? So,
But like how to penetrate her body, I don't know how they're going to be able to do that, but yeah, it might be the one thing that could stop her. Because she, he asked him, he's like, you took compound B, did you get any powers? And he was like, no. But I think what it did was
yeah,
it started, it created, it formed the parasite. So what it could end up being is, because the parasite, it could be something like venom, or
could be.
eventually it's going to like eventually it will reveal to Butcher that the visions he's seeing of his wife is actually the parasite talking to him, and it's talking to him using her uh
Her
using his
projection.
wife as a projection so that
Yeah.
it does what it wants him to do. And so I think this could be a case where he's going to become something like Venom, where the parasite takes over and then he goes into action. Which I think would be kind of cool, because now Butcher has to kind of fight with that, and maybe it becomes so out of control later on that he ends up having to somehow like kill himself in order to stop the parasite. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, because even when we saw this here, when he came back too, I mean, after we heard the splatter, so to speak, of the kill, and he came back too,
Yeah.
he had literally zero like what just happened. I don't know what just happened. So he was obviously not the butcher. Obviously wasn't present
Yeah.
mentally to know what happened, right? Because he was just as confused. So it even begs the question of if this parasite does obviously it has the ability to either take over Butcher or leave Butcher, which I don't think it's leaving Butcher's body to make the kill. It's obviously taking him over. Then Butcher is non-existent at that point until then he comes back and he's like, well, wait a minute. Obviously, what just happened? But
Well,
he'll have to find out at some point
mhm.
what's doing it because otherwise this thing could just take over anytime Butcher is at a risk of dying, and then
Well,
you
not only
know,
that, but like Butcher knows about the other serum that that they developed in Gen V,
yeah,
where it takes away a soup's abilities. Um, so that was brought up once, but what really it hasn't come back into play. I think it will eventually.
yeah.
I don't even think they've started production on Gen V season 2. So,
Yeah, I
uh,
don't think so. I know it was because of when that actor passed away. I know they pretty much kind of said, "Hey, we're going to give everyone time." So I know that that did push some things back. I mean, rightfully so.
yeah.
But yeah, I haven't seen anything about season two.
I'm
So
feeling more and more like that parasite that's inside of his body is like the visions of his wife. That's the parasite talking to him.
yeah,
That's the
yeah,
parasite motivating him to get up or go do this. Because I mean, obviously it can tap into his brain, so it knows. And here's the thing too: is that when Homelander looked at Butcher, he's like, my God, that thing. He was like that. What do you say? I don't think he called it a cancer. He said he was like that mass or that little he said something has
it's like
wrapped
around
itself,
his brain.
yeah, it has almost
Yeah.
wrapped itself around your entire brain. And so I wonder if that's what it is. It's literally a parasite that was made in his body that the compound V has turned into, and
Yeah, and they set and they set that tone and that story real quick because we saw that within the first 15 seconds of episode one where he was talking to somebody when like Frenchie and Kimiko
yeah,
walked up to him. He
yeah.
was talking, but we just didn't know at the time who or what was going on until the next episode. So they
Well,
were
and
really
then
setting the tone for what was going to happen with Butcher right
mhm.
away.
And with Venom too, remember like anytime the symbiote would go into somebody else, they would eventually die.
Yep.
So, I mean, this could be the case where it's slowly killing him, but uh and then is it going to escape his body? Is it going to try to take over somebody else? Because think about this: if he comes across Homelander again, that's if it is like a symbiote, it might look at Homelander and go, "Oh, I want him." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he's super powerful. And then it becomes, and then he becomes so powerful that it's like not even Ryan can stop him. You know what I mean? Like they all have like, how are they going to stop? A
Well,
Homelander with a symbiote inside of him. That's going to be
well, well,
crazy if that's
well,
the
if
case.
but if Homelander's taking all this extra, V, where and again, that's an assumption based on what we saw in the drawer, all those vials were missing.
Yeah.
Is something already happening in Homelander and we just don't know it yet? Like something similar, not exactly the same, but something very similar since he's now taking all this V that he probably didn't need to be taking, but he is.
The fact that his dad got a dose of compound V, um it just makes me wonder, did she take it from Huey or did she have her own? Because he was like, what? Like, I don't know. I'm gonna assume that she took it off out of his coat. But
Yeah,
then
that's my assumption as well.
if she did that, then she would have to know exactly what that is. Because if you pulled up
Yeah.
someone's code, you'd be like, "What the fuck is this blue shit? What is that?" But she would have to know. Oh, this is Compound V. I'm gonna put it in his system.
Well,
Or
what still raises the question is all of a sudden, why is this character back?
yeah,
Right, in season 4. I mean, we've literally only heard of her, never saw her in any of the previous seasons. Now, and the dad, I mean, we've seen the dad before since season 1, here and there, pops up. We know the relationship between him and Huey. So he has a stroke. They could have easily played the story out. He has a stroke. Huey, is by his side, and then that story plays out. It's just him and Huey because that's what we've always known. But all of a sudden, now the mom pops back up into the picture.
well, and not only that, but the mom popped up back in the picture after his dad was already in like a comatose
Yeah.
state. So it wasn't like he saw her like, "Oh, hey, you're back." It was like, no,
So knowing that, if she is somehow involved and knows what it is, could it be an experimental new version of Compound V
it could be.
that she's now going to test, knowing that knowing he's going to die. They've taken him off, life support. Hey, we're gonna test this out and see what it does. I have someone here that's pretty much going to die any minute, so we might as well just try and see what it does. Which opens up a
Yeah.
whole nother door of potential scenarios here if she knows what the stuff is, or if she's using some experimental Compound V new like 2.0 to see what it will do.
Because you think about it, right? So, like Butcher, going back to Butcher and Homelander, and it's like, you know, he took on Homelander when he had the other version of
Mhm.
Compound V, which was like the short term shit that they had
Yeah.
made, and he basically had superhuman strength.
Laser eyes, everything.
laser eyes. He was invulnerable. He just didn't fly that we
Yep.
know of. But now I think it'd be cool if his new ability is sort of like Venom, where when he has to go into action, the parasite, the symbiote takes over, and all of a sudden he looks different, or it protects his skin and something, because I mean they had to protect him in order to keep him alive, otherwise it would have
Well,
died.
but keep in mind though, the only reason that we saw it was because Butcher was about ready to die.
Right.
And then we saw it moving around, and then the screen went black. We heard it, and then we saw, the outcome, right? Because we saw Butcher get, put on his ass earlier, and it didn't do anything. He didn't come to save him. He just got put on
And
his
then
ass.
what did they say about Homelander about his birth? They said that I remember she said that he killed like 3 nurses when he was born. Remember, she was like, "You floated up like you were some kind of godlike
Yeah,
creature."
yeah. Yeah, I'd have to go back and rewatch that
Who
'cause
was his mom? Did they ever say who his
I
mom
don't
was?
I don't think so. No.
Because I mean, Drogo's got a point here. What if Huey and Homelander are brothers? What if his mom is actually? He's probably not. Three
I don't
doctors
know.
and 1 nurse. He said, but like it could be that like what if they have the same mom? That'd be kind of crazy. But she doesn't have the blonde hair.
No.
She has brown hair. And who was his
Well,
father?
if Huey and Homelander are if they're straight up brothers, not like half brothers, then that would make Soldier Boy
His dad.
Huey's dad.
Well, not necessarily if they just share the same mother.
Well, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean?
So,
And if that were the case, if
well,
they
then the
share
mother
the
that was
same
there at the
mother,
hospital would be Homelander's mother then.
yeah.
That's Huey's mother.
And it could be that like she knew about Compound V because she knows about her son Homelander. You know, who knows? We don't know yet. I don't remember if they've ever talked about Homelander's mom or his father. I can't remember if they did or not.
Well, Homelander, but we know Homelander's dad is Soldier Boy.
Well, yeah, yeah, obviously, yeah, that's true.
It's
It's Soldier Boy.
it's the mother that we've never heard of specifically, and the only mother that we know for Huey is the one we just saw. So if we go down that path, then we would have to make the assumption that we saw Huey's dad dying. Soldier Boy is Homelander's dad, and the mom would be the one that was sitting there. That would
Well,
be the
and
mom
he
of
says, "I
both.
doubt the mother survived." But we don't know. I mean, they didn't even say that. She could have easily been like, "Your mother died," or. But this is the kind of show where you come to find out the mother is somebody else. You know, so
Yeah, yeah,
I think it's a really good theory that they could be brothers, but who knows? But at this point, I want to know what Homelander is going to do when he gets back to Vought Tower after he just massacred all those scientists.
yeah.
And what did that do for him? And how does that make him any better or any different moving forward? That's what I want to see.
I think it's just gonna make him more vengeful.
Yeah.
That's all. Again, I like this version of Homelander, right? I like that, he's just pretty much just like, hey, I'm just gonna take everyone out. I don't even care anymore.
Well, and I think it'd be interesting if he comes back to Vought Tower while while Sister Sage and the Deep are having sex, and he's just like, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" You know, and then he would look through her skull and be like, "What did you do to your like? What did you just do?" You know, like he would see the brain like regenerating. You know, he'd be like, "What the fuck?" And so
Because
again,
he would look at it as a vulnerability because he'd
yeah,
be
he'd be like,
exposed.
you know, be like, what did you do? Like,
Yep.
why are you doing that? You know, it's just, like you're weak. You know, there's so many things that can go wrong if he were
Yeah.
to show up. So that's gonna be really really cool to see. But dude, this was a really good episode. I'm really
Yep.
excited about it. I can't wait for next week, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be, yeah, especially how this one ended, right? With Homelander just taking everybody out. I think I'm definitely interested to see how it plays out for him.
Oh,
For sure.
absolutely. And I want to see if Butcher's going to live. I want to see what this new parasite that's inside of him, what that's going to do. Because, I mean, I feel like maybe Butcher took more Compound V than you
Then we know.
normally would take. And
Yeah.
so that's why it manifested itself into its own parasite, into its own, like, its own being within his body,
Yeah.
because there was so much of it that it turned into its own, like, creation. It manifested into its own being
Yeah.
living within his body. And
Well, and I think the other interesting thing is to your point earlier is, where's Ryan? We didn't see him at all this episode. He wasn't at like Homelander's apartment or home, so he wasn't there because A-Train was there. We didn't see him, so it'd be interesting to see, hey, where did he go for this particular time?
well, it
So
makes you wonder too, is Ryan the one who's been taking not like taking it, like injecting himself with it, but is he the one who took some of those Compound V vials? Because there was a lot missing.
there was a lot missing. Yeah,
And they were in random spots. It wasn't just like one little
in a row.
quadrant. Yeah, it was in a
Yeah,
row, and it kind of opened up a little bit more. So that was really interesting. I was like, "What the fuck?" And then, yeah, of course, the vials of milk,
the milk.
and then
Yeah.
and then he found the other cabinet that had like all of his pubic hairs. Oh, he's so fucking weird. It's like, oh my god.
Hey, I'll take Homelander over Deep any day. Deep
Oh
is
yeah,
just, yeah,
he's a piece
he's
of
something
shit.
else. Yeah.
And we didn't see the squid, so Ryan's
Nope.
probably happier when he
Ryan
sees
will
this.
Ryan will be happy about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, that is going to do it for the post show of The Boys Season 4, Episode 4. If you want to get our takes on the episode, I'll be posting my take on Episode 4 on the community at www.nicotina.net. If you go to the community for the Nicotina Show, you'll be able to access the community, and I'll give you my review of the episode. Sean might be posting one as well, if he feels like it, if you feel so inclined. And so definitely check that out. Basically, any movie I see, any show I watch, any episode of a show I watch, I'll be putting my review on the community at nicotina.net. So definitely check that out. Memberships are available, and they're more profitable as well because I don't have to share my revenue with YouTube. If you want to become a member of the show on YouTube, go right ahead. Memberships are available on the channel as well. And also remember to follow me on X and on Twitch, because we go live every week to watch The Boys season 4, episode 5 will be next week, and I can't
Yep.
wait to see what's gonna happen then. And dude, we're halfway through the season already. Isn't that crazy?
Yes, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's only 8 episodes. I think it feels that way because we got 3 episodes the first week,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
that
Oh yeah.
definitely makes it feel like it's going by pretty quick.
Well,
So
and I think too that they wanted this show to be a summer show, and they knew that, like, hey, let's have it end in July because when you start spilling into August, you have like a lot of universities and that are on the quarter system
yeah,
starting in August anyway. So let's just get through it by July, and that way everyone gets their dose of The Boys over the summer. So really cool shit, man.
yep.
Sean, we'll do it again next week.
We will do it again next week, my friend.
All right, guys, make sure you check out nicotina.net. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!